According to the United Nations, by the year 2050, over 68% of the human population will be living in cities. Now, this may not mean much to any audience, but this represents in the next 30 years, one of the greatest human migrations in human history as more people move to cities and urbanize. This comes at a time when we're facing many problems in society, including climate change, affordable housing, traffic, and pollution, to name a few. This mass migration that's about to occur provides a unique opportunity for cities around the world to reimagine and redefine how cities fundamentally function and how people live and economies work. There have been many radical new solutions that have been posed by people and groups all over the world about how we can design these cities in the future. One example can be seen in Saudi Arabia, where there's currently a project going on called NOME, or simply the Line. This project aims to add over $48 billion of economic activity in the nation and add over 380,000 jobs. But what exactly is the Line? Well, as the name suggests, the city is literally going to be a line of buildings, all in one path. This line will extend for over 170 kilometers. Surrounding this line, there will be a nature preserve, and within, there will be 3 different layers. There will be a surface street layer, an underground layer where autonomous delivery vehicles and city services can function and keep the city running, and a deep underground high-speed railway that can help transport people throughout the line. This city aims to have 0 cars, 0 pollution, 0 emissions, and overall be the future of what human civilization looks like. Except, that's not exactly what's happening right now. The project has failed to gain much funding or investment. Think about it. One of the wealthiest nations in the world is unable to fund this project. What does that mean for other nations that are not as wealthy? Additionally, this project is going to take many decades to build, not to mention the countless setbacks that are likely going to come. Another radical solution that's been proposed is by Elon Musk and his Boring Company. This solution plans to build tunnels underground major cities all around the world to help ease traffic. In this tunnel, there's going to be self-driving cars that travel at hundreds of miles per hour, zooming underground. This is set to cut travel times significantly and increase productivity and overall mobility in cities. This sounds like a great idea, right? In fact, a prototype has already been built in Las Vegas. The 1.6-mile loop in Las Vegas had many problems though. This loop was way over budget at over $54 million, and this loop promised to have cars travel at 150 miles per hour. In reality though, the max speed was 50 miles per hour, and the capacity was much lower than expected. And get this so-called solution of traffic ended up having traffic jams in the tunnels. So obviously this didn't work, which is a pretty big shame, right? I mean, on paper it sounds like a great idea, and it could have had so much potential. You know, if only it was like more affordable, right? So that other governments and groups can build it. And also, if only it was affordable to actually use, right? Because not everyone can afford the self-driving car right now. And while we're at it, what if like each car was like bigger? Because a car can fit only 5 people. What if you could fit multiple, maybe 10 or 20 in each car? And since we're doing this, what if we attach the cars to each other? So you make one long line of cars. Someone should probably come up with that, to be honest. Like, that would be insane. Well, it turns out that thing that I'm talking about has existed in some way, shape, or form since the early 19th century. It's called the train. And this brings up a bigger point that I want to talk about, right? On the news and on media, you hear all these different crazy mega projects that are being proposed, right? A straight line city, underground tunnels with self-driving cars. But the reality is, all of this stuff is going to cost billions of dollars. Additionally, this stuff is going to take many years to build, and the technology hasn't even proven to work yet. So instead of trying all these crazy solutions, I have a suggestion. Instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, how about we use existing existing technologies that we have right now to help solve the problems of today. With the example of the train, we can look to Japan. Tokyo is the most populous city in the world, and to transport its dense population, it relies on public transportation, mainly trains. Now, the trains in Tokyo are extremely clean. They run very fast, at high capacity, and are always on time, down to the second. In fact, if they're late by over a minute, it's a national scandal all over the papers, and public apologies to the general public as well as their employers are made by these train operators. Now, when I first heard of that, the first thing I thought of was, can you imagine that happening here in New Jersey? Like, oftentimes, we're lucky that the train even shows up. But the funny thing is, though, the technology they're using in Japan is pretty much the same thing they're using here. They're not that much different. This stuff has existed for hundreds of years. And so instead of trying to do all these crazy new solutions, how about instead of doing that, we actually try to take the technology we already have and apply that better so that we can solve the problems of today. Because ultimately, not every nation can afford all these crazy mega projects, and we don't have the luxury of time on our hands. Ultimately, we are going to have to work as a society, and the next generation of engineers will have to work together to come up with solutions of the future. And I just hope that they are given the tools and the opportunities to do so. Thank you.